not believe what I've been doing. I've been out there defeating liches, zombies, and all of the sorts. That's what I've been doing. I have not been sitting at home collecting dust. No, I've been out adventuring. I promise you, don't. Why did you go over to my... Okay, let's start the video. Hello there, everyone watching this video today. Welcome to another D&D video. It's been a long time coming, and we have been back with more DM tips. This is probably what I'm best at doing, honestly, DM tips. Better than anything else on my resume. Do I even have a resume? Anyway, this video, as you see in the title, is about improvisation, improving. And I don't have a script for this video, just to stick to the theme of the one. So this is gonna be a bit interesting. Let's get started with why improving is so important here. So you have probably heard about improving if you watch any D&D tips on how to be a good DM. People say that any great DM needs to be great at improving, and I would agree that if you're going to be a pretty good DM, you need to also know how to improv. What does that really mean, though? So, let's say that you have planned a session for your players, and now they have gone off track. You know, you want them to go to the town, but instead they decide to go to the forest. That's where you need to start improving. Something that new DMs who are scared to start improving might do in that situation is find some way to stop the players from going to the forest. But I promise you that's not going to work out at all. In fact, I think it's going to take much more work for you to make a believable way for the players not to be able to go into the forest, and it will take to just have them go into the forest. And even if it wouldn't, it's gonna take your players out of the field of the game. Dungeons and Dragons is about the players being able to do whatever they want, and you stopping them because you're a little bit scared. Then improv is not gonna help with their enjoyment, and probably not your enjoyment either. Something else that can happen when you refuse to improv as well is that it could make the players feel like that it's a them versus the DM situation, where they're trying to do something and you're trying to stop them from doing something. And all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like they're fighting people in the game. It feels like they're fighting you as a person. And that's just not going to be fun for anybody. At the end of the session, at least one person is probably going to be upset about that. So then you're forced to improv. We're going to the source. What should you do? Well, first off, I think it's good if you have a lot of experience. A lot of experience in D&D makes you able to improv very, very easily. Because you kind of have a sense of what you can do in the game, or any RPG really, and you have some ideas under your belt that you can pull from, especially if it's a different set of players than you had experimented with before. So that's a lot of juice to come from. But if you don't have that and you're kind of new and you need ideas on how to improv, I would suggest before the game starts to just cook up some thoughts on what you might be able to do in random situations. Maybe make some random encounters, make a town, an extra few dungeons. Some things like that. Maybe find some enemies that you like from the monster manual. And then get all those things in your mind, in your notes, ready for if you need to improv, then you can bring anything from those ideas into the game. That's pretty much all improving is bringing ideas that you have thought of, or that you're interested in, and bring them into the game. It's very hard to actually just make something completely up without any references. That's usually not anyone can do that. No one can do that most of the time. So having some references in the back of your mind or in the notes somewhere that you can go to does help, and will probably make your improvs 1,000 times better. That's one way to improv. Now for another way. Now this is something I did the other day actually, because I'd made a dungeon and I wanted to test out the dungeon and the town that I had also made, so I did a one-shot with some of my friends in a campaign setting that I've been doing, where they had to go down a dungeon and free a girl from these undead. Pretty basic plot. But when they got there, they were about halfway through the dungeon, and we only had an hour left. And I knew that we wouldn't be able to get through the entire one-shot if they went through the rest of the dungeon, so I decided that I was just going to cut most of the rest of the dungeon out. The dungeon was full of, just a relaxing area, some bedrooms, a kitchen, a dining room, treasury, they had prison, but I just knocked down most of that, and all there was some bedrooms, some resting area, a storage, and the boss room, and some corridors. That's all there was, because I didn't want it to take too long. So, and part of improving is not just adding on to your world, but also taking away from your world. So if you feel like there's something you want to get to, but you're not going to have time because there's too much in between where you want them to be at the end of the session and where they are right now, feel free. Don't be too connected to the things that you've made, and just cut the ties between everything in between. A lot of the things in between, just get them there. That's something you need to be good at too, is being able to lose some of the things that you wanted to do. Sure, there's probably a few rooms you want them to see, maybe there isn't even a full town that is not going to, but that's okay. You need to be able to you'd be able to deal with them not going there. So try not to get yourself too connected to these things, because there's a great likelihood that they're not going to do it. I'll give you an example, and I wish I could think of an example of a time I've done this. I'm sure I've done this. Everyone's done this at one point as a DM. But I'm going to have to use an example from one of my friends' campaigns, and they might watch this video. So if you're watching this video, it was a great campaign. This is just something that sticks out to me as one of those moments. It is where we were tasked to go around the entire continent here, or the entire planet, I guess, and collect things from each city. And we're evil characters, so the thing I decided to do, and my other friend seemed okay with, was we had these mind erasing machines, and I wanted to gather travelers or anyone that we can find around the place here and put them into those machines. Now, it wasn't just a problem of them being too connected to the world. It's also a problem of, well, not many people traveled in this world, which, is a bit of an issue. But that was probably why. That's probably the main reason why he wanted us to move. But the other reason I feel like is because he told me that he made all this stuff and we were just staying in one location, and that made him kind of upset. So he put a lot of reasons for us to leave, like the fact that a lich was coming after us with a bunch of monsters that they were sending to our location, and they're going to keep doing that over and over again. And then eventually the place just got flooded. I actually don't know why it got flooded. There was a lake, but I don't feel like see, that's the kind of thing where he made a reason for us to leave that didn't make too much sense and was kind of bullshit. I kind of felt mad at that moment, and it made me almost not want to play the campaign anymore. I'm glad I did, because it ended up being a really good campaign, but that was one of the moments where he was very connected to his world, that he was getting frustrated that we were trying to make an army. And then eventually we did make an army, and then he got really mad about that because he felt like we were going to get through all the challenges easily now, not actually explore all the things that he made. So we ended up not using that army, but I feel like if we actually got the army and started using it, he could have had some cool army battles between us and other cities. But that's just one example of something that you should watch out for when you're DMing your campaigns, because I've done it. That friend has done it, obviously. All of my friends who DM do it eventually. It's not at the beginning. It's just hard to let go of the things that you put a lot of work into, and then you unexpectedly get an unexpected response from your players where they do something completely different than you thought they would. But that's just how you have to flow. There's been several times where I have made NPCs on the spot that became a big thing. There was even one time where I did the wrong voice for a character, and the players, that was my dog. Thanks, dog. Yeah, just bark at nothing. Yeah, it's 1 p.m. Nothing's gonna be home. Yeah, just keep barking at nothing, please. Where I did the wrong voice for a character, so when they asked who is this, instead of breaking their immersion, I just made that person to a new character who became a big character in the thing. I'm not gonna tell you the exact situation because I don't want them to find out who it is, but that did happen once. And I feel like that's the main thing that restricts people from improvising, isn't the actual act of improvising, because even for improvising, all you need to do is, if you had something planned, you can take a few of those elements, put them into a new place, and kind of retexture them a little bit, make them a little bit more special to that area, and then there you go, you just kind of improvised a little bit into your game. But it's not that's what scares people. I feel like it's the idea of letting go of what you planned that actually makes people not improvise. Because it is scary it's upsetting when you put a lot of work into one thing and then your players decide to go to something completely different. That's kind of the thing you need to get yourself ready for when dungeon mastering or game mastering, really in any game that's an RPG, a tabletop RPG. You need to be ready for your players to do that. Probably the most important thing for you to be ready for. And if improvising is the most important quality for a game master, I might say having the ability to let yourself improvise is the most important thing when you're game mastering. That's the most important quality to gain, is the ability to let go of what you made in favor of something new that the players decided to go to. I will say there is a limit here, because some people go to the extent of saying if you have prepared a big boss, destroying the world type campaign, and your players just want to become fish farmers, that you should let them do that. I don't think so. It is important to let your players know beforehand, before the campaign starts, the type of idea that you're going for with this campaign. Tell them that this isn't be a big boss fighting guy. You're gonna have to fight a big boss who's trying to destroy the world. Give them that kind of impression. Because if they don't have that impression, when they go into the game, they might make those characters. And if they still make those characters and expect you to just deal with it, well, then you should kick them out of the game, because they obviously don't care enough about you to not do that. I do think that once the players have been made and you're getting the ball rolling into the campaign, and they want to go do something a little bit different, but it's still in line with the characters and the campaign being ran, you should let them do that. Like go into a forest. But if they decide out of nowhere that they just want to become a fisherman, is what they're actually called, and just go out to the sea and fish for the rest of their life, and they want you to, role play that with them, no. That's not something that should happen. I just wanted to say that because that's actually an example of what I've seen people say you should do online, and I don't want anyone to get that impression from this video. I don't want anyone to actually believe that kind of mentality, because it's not a healthy one to have, and it lets your players do some stupid stuff when they came here to your game hopefully expecting the type of thing that you've been promising them, which you should have told them that you're promising. Even if you didn't tell them, it's not out of nowhere for a campaign of Dungeons and Dragons to be about defeating a giant monster. That's not a strange concept. If someone doesn't have an idea of what's going on, that's the type of player they should be making on automatic. Really. If they want to play something weird, they should have came to you and talked about it first, instead of coming to the table with it. So don't let players make you feel bad if they pull that kind of stuff, because they should know better than that. But also, don't make your players lose the immersion of the game by not letting them go to these places that they want to go, or do something they want to do, like kill the king, because, well, if they want to do that, let them do it, and then kill them, because they're gonna die to all the knights in the kingdom. I talked a little bit about this concept in my Dungeon Master's General Guide video, which I feel like was an okay video. If you want to go watch that has some good tips in it, some that I went a bit too harsh. I'm very harsh in that video, so take everything I say for a grain of salt. I tried to be a little bit more gentle in this one, because I realize that not everyone has the type of experience that I do dungeon mastering, and I don't even have that much experience, so I shouldn't even be talking big game anyway. But there's the video about improvising, everyone. I hope it was helpful to you. I tried to make this video a bit longer because it started at 6 minutes, the recording, when I thought it was done, and now it's gone to 21 minutes of audio. So that's the power of improvising. That's all for now, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and meet me in the next one, and maybe the previous ones. So that's all, everyone, and goodbye.